Hey there, viewers. So, Beyonce's daughter just turned 13, and instead of a party, she dropped something way darker. This is a full confession. This is everything they tried to hide. Let me show you what Blue Ivy just revealed about her own mother. The rehearsal nobody saw. When I was little, I thought the red light above the door meant it was okay to come in. Like red for record, yeah, but also red for go, like I was finally about to be seen. But it doesn't mean that. It means the soundproof walls are on. It means don't ask questions. It means you better hum at the right pitch, or the room starts shaking again. I've been in this room every full moon since I was 9. That's when they first told me I had perfect pitch, like it was some gift I should be proud of. Back then, I thought it meant I'd get to sing backup on stage or something, maybe even do my own song if I practiced hard enough. But that's not what they meant. It meant I could match it. The hum, there's this tone that plays through the ceiling, like a low whistle under the floor and in the walls. It starts soft, so soft you'd think it's in your head, but if you hum the wrong note, it gets louder and sharper, and something in your skull starts to buzz. The first time, I cried so bad I bit my lip bloody trying not to scream. Mom said I'd learned to tune with it. She said I was lucky I even had access to Studio B. I used to call it the box. The crew calls it the lockbox, like a joke. But the door plate doesn't say that. It just says Studio BI in small brass letters. At first, I thought that was for Beyonce and Ivy. But now, I don't know. They lock me in before midnight, and I don't come out until 3:26 in the morning. Every time. Always 3 hours. Always on a full moon. And always ending at 3:23 a.m. sharp, right when the red light goes off. Tonight's the same, except it isn't. Tonight's different because I turned 13. That number matters to them. I've seen the way they change the tempo when they think I'm not watching, the way they whisper when they think I'm too far away. I know they're expecting something tonight, but they don't know what I'm planning. I keep a shard of mirror in my jacket. I broke it by accident a few months ago trying to adjust my hair before rehearsal. The crew told me not to bring it in anymore, but I kept one piece. Small enough to hide in my palm, just big enough to catch light. When I press it against the crack under the door, I can flash little signals out. I don't know Morse code for real, but I make up a pattern and do it anyway. Sometimes a light blinks back from the hall. I think it's that junior assistant who always smells like lemon body spray. She never looks me in the eye, but she's the only one who ever leaves me extra water bottles. Last week, I saw her walking by during rehearsal. She had her AirDrop on, and something happened. She flinched, looked down at her phone, and then ran. I think she got something. A clip, maybe. Something from inside the room. Because later that night, I saw my name trending on TikTok. The video was only 14 seconds. It was blurry, shaky, like maybe her camera wasn't supposed to work during rehearsals. But you could see it. Me, standing barefoot inside a chalk circle, arms out, palms up, like tuning forks, and Mom was there too. She was humming. But not a song, it was the hum, that low sound from the walls. The caption just said, "Why is Blue in a circle and Beyonce not singing?" It got taken down fast, probably by the label, but not before I screen recorded it and saved it under a fake file name, grocery_list_2_march_._mp4. I've watched it maybe 50 times since. The thing that gets me is not what you can see, it's what you can't. You can't hear the hum in the video. It's like the mic didn't catch it, but I can feel it just watching. My ears ring, even with the volume off. So tonight, I'm doing it different. I'm recording it from the inside. They gave me a mic pack last year for dance rehearsals, but they never let me wear it during the real sessions. Said it interfered with the pattern, but I've been keeping it charged in my backpack, just in case. Tonight I clipped it to the back of my bra strap and covered it with my sweatshirt. When the assistant checked my back for wires, she missed it. They always make me take off my shoes before I go in. They say it's to keep the chalk lines clean, but I know that's not it. I've seen the chalk reform itself even after I smudge it, like it breathes, like it pulls itself back together. Once I'm inside, the door shuts behind me. The red light clicks on, and the hum starts. It's soft at first, like always, a low E-flat flat. I hum it automatically, matching it without thinking. That's how trained I am. But then I stop. I want to hear what happens when I don't do it right. So I go flat. Just a little. Half a step. The room feels colder. My teeth buzz. The light above the door flickers once. So I stop playing. I lift the mic cord and hold it close to my ear. I click the tiny switch on the side. At first, it's quiet. No hiss. No feedback, nothing. Then I hear it. I hear myself humming, but I haven't made a sound. I jerk the mic away like it's hot. My heart's pounding so hard I feel it in my throat. I look around the room, but nothing's changed. The chalk circle's still there. The walls are still blank. The ceiling is still smooth. But that sound, it was my voice. And it wasn't recorded, it was live. I slide down the wall and sit, hugging my knees. I don't know what to think. How could it play my voice back before I even made it? Unless it was waiting. I look up at the ceiling. There's a tiny camera mounted in the corner. I've always known it was there. But now I wonder if it's really a camera or a speaker. The humming shifts. It's still E-flat but layered now. There's harmony. A higher note folds in, like another version of me but older, stronger. Then another one, lower, slower. 3 of me humming at once. I start shaking. I grab the mic and whisper, "Stop." And all 3 voices stop. That's when I know this isn't just a room, it's listening. I think about my hidden TikTok, the one I post from using a school iPad when I'm at dance practice. I called it at the other IV. Nobody follows it. I don't want them to. It's just for me. A timeline. Every time I go into the lockbox, I write the date, the time, what I wore, what I felt, what the hum sounded like. There are 27 entries now. Tonight will be number 28. I start recording on the mic again. Entry 28. 13th birthday. 3:08 a.m. The hum sharpens. My ears pop like I'm underwater. The lights flicker again, but longer this time. I think I see a shadow in the corner move, but when I look directly, it's just a crack in the paint. I say into the mic, "I know you're recording me, but I'm recording you now." The red light over the door blinks once, then twice, then it stays off. It's 3:23 a.m. Exactly. The hum stops. Just like that. No fade, no wind down. Just silence. But it's not real silence. It's a kind that rings, like my head forgot how to be quiet. The door clicks open. I stand up, legs shaking. My feet are cold from standing on the concrete so long. I step out into the hallway. There's no one there. Only a single water bottle. The lemon-scented assistant left it. The label says, "Hydration is preparation." I smile even though I'm scared. This time, I'm ready. I've got the clip. I got the mic. And if I'm right, the next rehearsal won't just be mine. It'll be everybody's. Chapter 2. The birth certificate. With 2 mothers. With 2 daughters. With 2 sons. With no mother. With no daughter. The birth certificate. With no other. With no other. With no other. I wasn't even awake yet when the TikTok started blowing up. It was Serena, one of the girls I used to take ballet class with, who sent it to me. No caption, just the folded belly video again. That one. The clip from that Australian interview, the one that refuses to die. I've seen it 100 times, maybe more. My mom sits down on a talk show couch and her stomach folds like a theater prop, and people freeze it, zoom it in, and act like that 1 second proves I'm fake, that I was born from somebody else, that I'm just a story someone rich told too well. Underneath the reposted video, the comments were worse than usual. I saw one that said, "Bet she finds out the truth at 13 and disappears." Another said, "She ain't real, just a trademark." And someone else wrote, "Check the registry dates. She's just a brand baby." That last one, it stuck with me. I didn't answer Serena. I just closed the app and lay there, staring at the ceiling fan. My birthday balloons were still tied to the bedpost. One had already started to sag, a silver one shaped like the number 3. 13 in my room, but 3 on the wall. It felt like someone was rewinding me, like the numbers didn't want to go forward. Downstairs was quiet. Too quiet. No smells from the kitchen, no voice from Mom, just the soft buzz of air conditioning and the usual chirp from the hallway alarm sensors. Those tiny warning sounds that mean someone walked through. But this morning, they didn't mean anything. Nobody was home. So I got up, dressed fast, hoodie, slippers. I pulled my hair into the messiest bun ever just to feel the weight of it. I never cut it, not since I was 6, not even a trim. People thought it was some natural girl aesthetic thing. It wasn't. I just knew something bad would happen if I did. I grabbed a banana and headed across the courtyard to Grandma Tina's office. Her filing cabinets were real old school. She didn't trust cloud storage. She kept everything locked up in drawers with silver handles and plastic label tags. I'd seen them a million times during fittings or when I got dragged to admin meetings, whatever those meant, but I'd never gone through them alone. Not until now. The key was taped under her desk, same spot it had been since I was 8. I slid it into the lock and started pulling drawers. Most of it was boring. Contracts, invoices, fabric orders, old award show call sheets, but I was looking for something small, something real, a certificate, something with my name on it. It was in the 3rd drawer. There were 2 folders side by side, one labeled Blue Public, the other Blue Private. My stomach dropped. I opened the public one first. It had the copy I already knew by heart. Name, Blue Ivy Carter. Born January 7, 2012. Hospital, Lenox Hill, New York. Parents, Beyonce Giselle Knowles, Sean Corey Carter. Weight, 7 Albez, 11 OSA. Signed and sealed like a normal baby. Then I opened the private folder. This one was different. The paper looked older, like it had been folded and unfolded a bunch of times. The ink had faded just slightly. Same name, Blue Ivy Carter, but the birth date was scratched out. A different one was printed underneath. December 22, 2011. Same name, different day. And the hospital wasn't Lenox Hill. It was printed in block letters. Harmony Prenatal Research Facility, Montgomery County, Maryland. There was a line stamped across the bottom in red. Infant transferred to project thanked. Do not archive. Read it 5 times. I kept thinking it had to be a joke, a mistake, a label error, but everything else matched. My name, my weight, my blood type, my baby ID number. It was me. But it wasn't the version they show people. Behind the certificate was a set of legal papers. An NDA, a non-disclosure agreement with a handwritten signature from someone named Marisol Wade. The name gave me a weird feeling in my chest. Like I'd heard it before, but not from a person. More like from a whisper in another room. Then I remembered Last summer, during a wardrobe haul, I was helping carry boxes down to the archive room under the house. I'd gotten bored and started reading random labels on the shelves. One box had a stack of old videotapes, and one of the tapes had a handwritten sticker that said, "Surrogate tape, do not digitize weight." That was her. That was Marisol. I pulled out the NDA. It was thick, at least 20 pages. Most of it was typed in tiny legal language I couldn't really understand, but I skimmed it anyway. "Are you vaccinated?" There was a clause labeled delivery scope. It said, "Weight agrees not to disclose, discuss, or reproduce any details of the delivery performed on December 22, 2011, under supervision of Carter Knowles Trust, nor to publicly reference infant ID VIK 1122 as genetically related to the transfer subject. The infant's proprietary designation, Blue INK, shall be considered protected intellectual property until such time as the trademark is dissolved." I dropped the paper. I didn't even mean to. My fingers just let go. My full name, listed as a trademark. And then it hit me, the comment on TikTok. "It's just a brand baby." I looked around the office, suddenly not sure if I was alone. The hair on my arms stood up. I could hear the hallway alarm chirp again. 1 beep. Pause. 2 beeps. That meant someone had walked past twice. I folded the 2 birth certificates together and stuffed them inside my hoodie, right against my chest. I grabbed the NDA too. I didn't know what I was going to do with it yet, but I knew I wasn't leaving it behind. Then I heard the elevator. There was only one person who used that elevator at this time in the morning. It was Dad's head of security, except that wasn't his real name. On paper, he went by A. Knowles, not Andre, not Anthony, just A. I ducked into the garment rack behind Grandma Tina's rolling mannequins and held my breath. My slippers made no sound against the carpet. The papers crinkled under my hoodie, but I stayed still. He walked past the door, didn't even stop, just checked his wrist monitor and kept moving. But I knew he'd be back. He always did a double pass. From behind the plastic sleeves of old Grammy dresses, I noticed something on the wall I'd never seen before. Dated camera. Not just any camera. A new one. Smaller. Shiny. Mounted right above the thermostat. At first it looked normal, but then I saw the sticker. A silver circle, shaped like a vinyl record, and etched on it was a waveform. 4 notes. The same 4 that start every rehearsal. The same 4 that made my ears ring. The same 4 I heard come out of me last night, before I even sang. I held my breath again. Then I slowly stepped back, out of view of the camera, and waited. I stayed hidden for 5 full minutes. Then I slipped out through the side door and ran barefoot across the courtyard. When I got back to my room, I didn't say a word. I just locked the door, turned off my phone, and laid the 2 certificates out on the floor. Side by side. 2 birth dates. 2 hospitals. 2 mothers. One of them named Beyonce. And the other? The other was missing. Marisol Wade had signed the NDA as a nurse, but under witness of delivery there was no second name. Just a dash. A blank. It was like the person who gave birth to me was never written down at all. Thought of the trademark again. Registered on December 21, 2011. The day before I was born. Before I had a name. Before I had a voice. They trademarked me like a product. I picked up the certificate labeled private and read the last line at the bottom. In small red type, in case of replication, default to original human signature. I didn't know what that meant, but I knew I didn't like it. Chapter 3. Comb her hair. I was 6 when I saw it. The petition. It wasn't even meant for me. My nanny had her phone out while I was eating frozen grapes off a pink plate shaped like a heart. She wasn't looking at me, just scrolling and chewing her gum the way she always did, real slow. But I caught the words across the top of her screen. Big, bold letters, "Comb her hair." I didn't understand at first. I thought it was about a doll, or maybe someone else, some other kid. But then I saw my picture. It was me, in a denim dress and sneakers, with my hair in a puff, wild, full, curly, and someone had circled it in red like it was a mistake. There were comments under the post, and my nanny tried to scroll past real quick, but I'd already seen enough. "She looks neglected. Can't they afford a brush? I bet she thinks that's a style." I didn't cry, not then, but something inside me sank. That was the first time I thought I did something wrong just by existing, that my body needed fixing, that my hair was a problem I had to apologize for. Later that day, I asked my mom if I could straighten it. Just once. She looked at me like I'd asked to shave it all off. She said, "No, baby, you keep it how it is. Your hair's more than hair." At 6 years old, that didn't mean anything to me. But now I think she was telling the truth. Just not the whole truth. It wasn't about pride, it was about protection. Last night, after I found the birth certificates and the NDA from Marisol Wade, I couldn't sleep. I just kept pacing, scrolling, digging deeper into every old tabloid link I could find, but none of it made sense until I landed on a Reddit thread titled /BeyondParkwood/. The post was called, "They Never Cut Blue's Hair, Ask Why." It had screenshots of old photos of me. Kindergarten, graduation, playground shots, tour rehearsals. Always the same hair. Untouched. Free. Not even trimmed. The top comment read, "Uncut hair is how they track the resonance. It keeps the pitch pure." The reply under that was worse. "She's not being hidden. She's being tuned." I kept reading. One user posted, "You want the truth? Go find the Simmons-Carver patent. White noise harvesting, 2002. Hair acts like antennae. Natural coils conduct resonance better than copper wire. Think that's a joke." I copied the name, Simmons-Carver. I opened a new tab and typed, "Simmons-Carver, white noise patent." It popped up. U.S. patent number 6,548,721B, issued in 2002, filed under Bioacoustic Signal Collection Systems. The diagram showed a human scalp with strands of hair drawn like wave receptors, each one labeled with frequency ranges. A note in the margins said subject must not cut or chemically alter hair to maintain conductivity. At the bottom was a line that stuck with me. Proximity to subterranean electromagnetic fields may disrupt function unless hair remains intact. That's when I remembered the stylist. It was 2 years ago. I was about to do a cover shoot, and the hair lady was new. She kept fussing with my curls, pulling them tighter, asking if we could snip the ends to make it cleaner. I said no. Mom wasn't there that day, but I knew she wouldn't have let it happen. The stylist rolled her eyes and whispered to someone behind her, "She's not allowed. Messes with the signal." I didn't understand what that meant then. Now I did. I scrolled back to the Reddit thread and sent a private message to the user who posted the patent. Their username was coil_catcher. I wrote, "Is this real? Why would they stop me from cutting it?" They replied almost instantly, "It's real. I've seen the blueprints. You live above the pool. You're the only one tuned to it." "What pool?" I asked. "Check your intercom wiring. I'll send what I have." An email arrived seconds later. Attached was a blueprint. It wasn't marked Parkwood, but I knew the layout. I recognized the main house, the studio annex, the garden maze, and underneath it all a thick gray line labeled Sub-Level 3. In the center was a black rectangle, labeled Resonant Pool. I leaned back in my chair, hand gripping my hair without even realizing. My fingers caught on a knot and pulled it loose. A single curl slipped out and hung in front of my face. Stared at it. One curl. One strand. I grabbed the scissors from my desk drawer. They were old craft scissors, not sharp, the kind you'd use for cutting ribbons or scrapbooking. I held the curl out, and I snipped it. Just one. The second the curl hit the floor, the house changed. The lights flickered, not randomly, in 4 bursts, like a pattern. Then the intercom came alive. It wasn't a voice, it wasn't music, it was humming. Like kids humming underwater, distant and echoey, like the sound came from pipes deep in the walls. I'd frozen. My heart was beating so hard I thought it might shake the floor. I tried to turn off the intercom. I pressed every button. Nothing worked. The humming got louder. 4 notes, over and over. Then silence. Dead silence. I backed away from the desk. The curl was still on the floor. Tiny and innocent and dangerous. My hand was still holding the scissors, but I didn't want them anymore. I dropped them. My phone buzzed. It was Coil_catcher again. You triggered it. Do not cut more. They'll hear it. I didn't respond. I picked up the blueprint instead. I traced the wiring lines with my finger. The whole house was rigged for sound, from my bedroom to the intercom to the pool below. I wasn't just being watched. I was being recorded, measured, pumped into. That's when I made my decision. If anybody knew the truth, it was Marisol Wade. She was there, in the room, when I was born, if that's even what you want to call it. She signed the end. She knew what happened before the paperwork, before the trademarks, before the folding belly and the performances and the rituals and the hums. I Googled her name. Nothing at first. Then I tried pairing it with the name on the private certificate. Harmony Prenatal Research Facility, Montgomery County, Maryland. And there she was. Marisol Wade, registered nurse, retired, last known address listed in a senior caregiver registry, apartment complex near Silver Spring, just outside D.C. I wasn't going to ask for permission. I wasn't going to ask for help. I booked a rideshare under a fake name, IB Blue, flipped backwards. It felt like a joke, but it also felt right. My bag was already packed. The NDA, the birth certificates, the blueprint, the strand of hair in a Ziploc, and a mic recorder from the rehearsal room. It was still working, still humming, still recording everything, including me. Chapter 4, The Surrogate Tape. I thought about turning back 5 different times on the drive to Houston. The car smelled like burnt gum and lemon-scented cleaner, and the driver kept the radio too loud, but none of that was why. Every mile we moved away from Parkwood, I kept thinking, what if this woman opens the door and tells me I was never born? That I'm some kind of experiment, a walking ringtone, a frequency wearing sneakers. I didn't bring security. Didn't tell Grandma. Didn't call Mom. I just used the fake name again. IV? On the rideshare. And I told the driver it was for a school project. That felt almost true. It was the biggest project I'd ever taken on, and it was about school. Or at least learning. Just not in any textbook anyone would admit existed. Marisol Wade lived in a run-down apartment off Highway 6, near an old church with a rusted bell. Her place was on the 2nd floor. When I walked up, I could already see the envelopes stuffed into her mailbox, most stamped with that same Parkwood logo, the triangle inside the circle. I knocked twice real soft. It took her a full minute to open the door. She was shorter than I expected. Round face, soft eyes. She didn't look surprised to see me. She looked like she'd been waiting. "You're early," she said. I didn't say what time I'd come. You didn't have to, she replied, and stepped aside so I could walk in. Her apartment was small and dim, the blinds half closed, the air stale, like the windows hadn't opened in months. Boxes lined the walls, unopened mail, stacks of VHS tapes labeled in faded marker. There were no photos on the walls, no music, no plants, just static. She motioned to the couch and sat across from me in a peeling armchair with duct tape on one armrest. For a second, we didn't say anything. I could hear the fridge buzzing in the background. I know why you're here, she finally said. Then tell me, I whispered. She looked down, her fingers fidgeting with the edge of her sweater. I kept it because I knew this day would come, she said. I knew they'd never give you the truth, not fully. I reached into my bag and pulled out the NDA, her signature at the bottom looped and slanted, just like I'd seen on the page. You signed this, I said, holding it out. She nodded. They paid me to forget, but I couldn't. Then she stood up, walked to the far corner of the room, and pulled a metal tin from under a short bookshelf. She opened it and took out a single VHS tape in a plastic case. The label read, "Saw game tape, do not digitize, wait." She held it for a second like it might burn her. This is the only copy, she said. I checked. My mouth felt dry. I didn't ask if she had a player. She already had it set up. She slid the tape into a dusty combo TV VCR on a rolling cart, the kind you see in old school videos. Before she pressed play, she turned to me and said, "You need to understand, this wasn't a birth, it was a sound capture session." "What does that mean?" I asked. But she didn't answer, she just hit play. The screen flickered to life, lines rolling across the image. Grainy black and white footage filled the frame. A hospital room, but it didn't look right. There were no windows, no doctors chatting, no family holding hands. Only one man, tall, masked, wearing a surgical cap and a baby on a table. But there was no crying at first, just a steady humming sound coming from somewhere off screen, a loop, repeating every few seconds. I recognized the tone immediately. 4 notes, same as always. Then the baby, that was me, started to cry. But instead of comforting me, the masked man reached for a strange device. It looked like a thermometer, but longer, with a tiny screen and blinking light. He held it near my mouth and measured the pitch of my cry. A tiny bar on the screen lit up. A number flashed, then another. The camera zoomed in slightly. The man looked off screen and nodded. Then Jay-Z stepped into the frame. No mask, no gloves, just him. He looked down at the screen. Then he took a pen and wrote something on a clipboard. "Batch's mother." The crying stopped. I was still wailing, but the sound cut out on the video, like it had been muted or swallowed. I looked over at Marisol. She didn't blink. "She wasn't there?" I asked. She shook her head. "Not yet." I turned back to the screen. A minute later, the door opened again. Beyonce walked in. Not in scrubs, not like a patient. She was dressed in all white, long sleeves, no shoes, and she was humming. The same tone, but live, not from a speaker, from her mouth. The 4 notes echoed off the walls. Even in the grainy tape, you could see the light fixtures flicker. She walked straight to the table, took a small gold coil from her pocket, and wrapped it around my wrist. Then she looked at the staff and said, "Now she's mine to tune." The screen went black, then blue, then back to static. Marisol ejected the tape like it might explode. I couldn't speak. My body felt frozen, like my blood had stopped moving. "Why did they do that?" I finally asked. "Because she wanted more than a daughter," Marisol said quietly. "She wanted an instrument." I stared at the TV. I want to throw something at it. I want to scream, but nothing came out. Clause 7, Marisol said, pulling out the NDA again, flipping to the middle. I wasn't even supposed to play it, not within 50 meters of a microphone. Said the hum might activate dormant signatures. What does that even mean? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Her tablet, sitting idle on the coffee table, lit up. The screen filled with text, one word over and over. Thanked. It was auto-transcribing. We hadn't even spoken. Just the sound from the tape. But still echoing, still reaching. Then came the pounding. A fist slammed against the wall from the apartment next door. A man's voice shouted, "Turn that off. That Beyonce song is messing with my baby monitor." Marisol and I froze. She hadn't turned on any music. There were no speakers. The sound was coming from the tape, and now it was playing through every device around us. Phone, tablet, baby monitor, and maybe more. We looked at each other. What do we do? I asked. But she already knew. We run, she said, beneath the stage. I didn't wait until morning. I couldn't. The Hume had been following me all day. I heard it in car engines, in the wind, in the hum of the refrigerator light when I walked past the kitchen. Every time I blinked, I imagined the tape playing again, the gold coil tightening around my wrist. I could still see it in my mind, her voice moving the walls. And every time I checked my phone, it got worse. More videos of me from old shows, old rehearsals, fan clips where people were analyzing my movements frame by frame. One account claimed I blinked in sync with stadium speakers. Another said my heart rate once triggered a soundboard automation during soundcheck. They thought it was some kind of light show glitch. They didn't know. I wasn't reacting to the music. I was creating it. I waited until after midnight. The house was quiet. Mom and Dad were gone again. Urgent branding meeting in LA, or whatever excuse they were using this week. The team thought I was asleep. They always did. It was easier to ignore me that way, easier to keep me in the lines. But I had the blueprint. I had the location. The resonance pool sat under the main Parkwood performance stage. 3 sub-levels down. Not on any official plan, but I'd traced the audio wiring, followed every line. It all led there. Progress and safety, The door to the rehearsal stairwell was locked, of course. I used a maintenance badge from one of the costuming staff, borrowed, not stolen. He always left his uniform on the back of the chair during lunch breaks. A little swipe, a little timing, and I was in. The stairwell was darker than I remembered. Each step felt hollow underfoot, like walking over an empty can. The lights buzzed overhead, flickering just enough to feel like blinking. Then the humor started. It wasn't loud, not like in the room. This was subtle, hidden, but with each step I took, it dropped. 4 notes, lower every time. Step, note, step, out. By the time I hit the second sub-level, it was vibrating through my chest. Not like a sound, more like a memory, like something I was supposed to remember, but didn't. I reached the landing for sub-level 3. The door had no handle, just a panel with a card reader and a button. The card wouldn't work here. I took a breath and pressed the button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the red light blinked once. The 4 notes played again, and the door opened. The air hit me first. Thick, wet, like the inside of a breath. The walls were slick with something, condensation or oil, I couldn't tell. The smell was heavy, not exactly foul, but chemical, like burned plastic and lemon wax mixed together. I stepped inside. The tunnel sloped downward gently. Red pipes lined the ceiling, humming faintly. At the end of the tunnel I saw the light. Not bright, just a dull reddish glow. I walked closer and stepped out onto the catwalk. The room opened up in front of me, huge, round, impossible. An underground chamber, bigger than the stage above, maybe even bigger than the whole house. The catwalks stretched out like spider webs, painted red, looping around the space like a spiral. And in the center, the pool. Black. Still. Not water. Thicker. It looked like oil but moved too slow, like it was breathing. I leaned over the railing and watched the surface. Then I saw it ripple. Not randomly, like a pond or wind. The ripples made shapes, patterns, sigils. I watched one expand and bend until it spelled 4 letters. B. IV. I felt sick. I backed away. Below the platform I could see where the ripples were coming from. Spaces, half submerged under the pool, pointed up, pulsing, in time. Low-frequency tones. They were shaping the liquid, tuning it. I turned to run, but stopped. There was something on the far catwalk. Dozens of them. Figures. I moved closer. Mannequins. Lined up like a chorus, each wearing a child-sized tour costume. One wore my old homecoming hoodie, 2 sizes too small. Another wore the silver bodysuit from the On the Run tour. Each one had a tag tied to the wrist. I looked closer. The dates. January 10, 2022. February 9, 2022. March 8, 2022. Every single full moon rehearsal I had logged. 28 of them. Each mannequin had stood in my place. Or maybe I stood in theirs. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking. I opened the camera. Clicked photo. Clicked again. One more. Each photo auto-named itself. Vigorated, thanked, _1. Edit. Thanked _2. Thank you _3. I didn't name the match. My phone did. Then it started heating up in my hand. The screen dimmed. Battery, 17%. Then 12%. Then 8%. Then off. Dead. Just like that. I looked up. The humming stopped. All at once. Their breath. Nothing. Then a voice came through the ceiling. Smooth. Familiar. Soft. It's sad. Don't be afraid of the echo, baby. Fear the silence after. My whole body froze. I knew that voice. I'd heard it in interviews, lullabies, car rides, nightmares. It was hers. It was Mom. Beyonce. And it wasn't a recording. She was here. I heard footsteps above, heels on metal. Precise. She was on the upper catwalk. I looked for a place to hide. Nowhere. Nowhere except the pole. I didn't think. I didn't plan. I ran to the edge, climbed over the railing, and lowered myself into the thick black surface. I was cold. Freezing. Slower than water. It wrapped around me like syrup. I kept my mouth closed. My nose held my breath. It swallowed me whole. Darkness everywhere. No air. Just the faint sound of humming beneath the surface. Not from outside. From me. Inside me. Vibration I hadn't started. A sound that wasn't mine. I sank deeper and waited. Chapter 6. The Humming Choir. The pool let me go. Not gently. It didn't drift me to safety or push me to shore. It spat me out. One moment I was floating in thick black nothing, holding my breath as my ears rang from the inside out, and the next my feet were skidding across wet metal, knees scraping against a grate, arms flailing as I stumbled into a narrow drainage tunnel lit only by a dying emergency bulb overhead. The oil that clung to my skin had turned cold, sticky like glue. My hoodie felt heavier than my body. I didn't know where I was, but the humming had changed. It wasn't in the walls anymore. It was in the air, in the floor, and most of all, in the space ahead of me. He crawled forward. The tunnel sloped downward just enough to make me feel like gravity had a plan. The air smelled like battery acid and baby powder. I gagged twice and kept moving. Then I heard it. Voices. Low, steady, humming. Not recorded, not broadcast. Real. I peeked around the corner. That's when I saw them. 12 kids, sitting in a circle on the floor. All of them had noise-canceling headsets on, those huge padded kinds that make you feel like you're underwater. Their eyes were closed, their heads bobbed slightly. One of them, a boy maybe my age, was mouthing something. 4 notes. On repeat. Over and over. I didn't move. I just watched. They weren't playing. They weren't asleep. They were working. I stepped forward, slow. My shoe tapped a loose screw. It rolled, clinked once. One of the kids looked up. A girl, taller than me, about 14, braids, barefoot. She pulled off her headset. The hum around me dropped. "You're not supposed to be here yet," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "Neither are you," I said. She stood up and walked toward me. I didn't back away. "They told me you were older," she said, tilting her head. "Taller, more like her." "Probably lied," I said. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Of course they did. I glanced behind her. The rest of the kids were still humming, unaware. It wasn't fake. They weren't faking it. Something about those headsets was pulling the hum out of them, like air being vacuumed from lungs. "Who are you?" I asked. "Serena," she said. "I've been here since the South Carolina show, back when they thought I was the last one." I nodded slowly. I knew what she meant. I remembered the South Carolina incident, a girl who went missing after a backstage contest. The media spun it as a runaway, but conspiracy threads tied it to the tunnels. Nobody ever found her. Until now. "What is this place?" I asked. She motioned toward the circle. "This is the choir." "What choir?" "The one they need to amplify her. Beyonce. The show isn't just music. It's harvesting." She walked to the corner of the room and opened a rusted cabinet. Inside was a thick black binder. She flipped it open. Every page had names, columns, frequencies, test notes. She turned to the last page. I read the top line. Blue 48 March Carter, Acme March, March 23rd, 25. That was today. Right now. I reached out and touched the page. It felt warm. "What does this mean?" I whispered. Serena looked down. "It means tonight is your final tuning." The words hit me like ice. "Final what?" "The tune you once a month. That's what the rehearsals are. But at 13 your pitch settles. They lock it in. After tonight, your voice won't be yours anymore." "No." My back's up. "No, that's not. You're the only one who can sing her pitch without distortion," Serena said. "You're the mirror. But you're also the key." "What key?" "The counter frequency. You can bend the hum flat." "I don't know what that means." She grabbed my shoulders. "You don't have to. You just have to do it. If you sing her hum wrong, on purpose, just enough, it destabilizes the system. And then what? We get out." I looked around. Some of the kids had stopped humming. They were looking at me now, like they recognized me, not just from the internet, from somewhere deeper, like they'd heard me before. "I don't know if I can," I said. "You have to," Serena said, "because once it hits 323, they'll seal the system. Anyone still tuned stays tuned forever." I reached into my pocket. My phone was still dead. My mic recorder was soaked but blinking. It had one red light. Still recording. Serena pointed up. There was a vent in the ceiling, open just enough for sound to pass through. Go straight to the stage. Is she up there now? I asked. Serena nodded. He's rising. He didn't have time. I turned to the kids. Take off your headsets, I said. They stared at me. Serena nodded. Do it. One by one, they removed them. Some winced. One cried. The boy who was mouthing the notes rubbed his ears like he'd just been hit with cold air. I stepped into the circle. Everyone hum with me, I said. They waited. I took a breath. And I started. The 4 notes. Just like rehearsal. The same hum. Soft. Slow. Perfect. The room started to vibrate. The air got warmer. Then I changed it. I let the 3rd note fall flat, just slightly. Barely enough to hear, but it broke the pattern. A flicker of static snapped through the vent above. The lights flickered. Again, Serena said. We hummed. Wronger this time. The last note cracked, like glass bending. The floor shook. From above, we heard something fall. Then, the walls screamed. Not with voices, with feedback. The sound twisted in on itself, folding into a howl that made my knees buckle. One of the kids collapsed. Serena held on to me. Let me go. Then came the scream. Not from us. From above. Her voice? Beyonce. What are you doing? It echoed through the vents like thunder, but not loud, just absolute. The lights exploded. Then silence. Not normal silence. The kind that follows an earthquake. I felt my chest rise and fall. Serena looked at me. You did it, she whispered. The floor beneath us creaked. And above us something heavy crashed. We looked up. A panel of stage light fell through the vent shaft. Sparks flew. And for the first time since I could remember, the hum stopped. Chapter 7. Live at 323. It started with a flicker. Not here, not underground, up top. Somewhere in the world, someone's phone buzzed. The Parkwood YouTube account, dead for almost 2 years, went live. No thumbnail, no caption, just a blank red dot and the title. Within 60 seconds, half the internet was watching. At first, they thought it was a mistake. An accidental drop, a teaser. Then they thought it was some kind of art piece. Abstract, high fashion, performance. They kept watching. By the second minute, they weren't thinking at all. I didn't see it from their side. I was still in the chamber, still covered in the oil that had stopped being oil hours ago. Serena and the others sat in a line near the grate, eyes wide, heads tilted. We felt the shift, not just through our bodies, but in the walls, in the way the sound stopped bouncing, in the way the floor started to warm like a spotlight had locked on from above. Serena whispered, "They're watching." I crawled toward the vent. All I could hear was breathing, not hers, not the kids, but everywhere. All like the stage above was filled with it. Then the first voice spoke. It wasn't Beyonce. It was a YouTube viewer from somewhere far away on a live stream chat that we couldn't see but could hear somehow. They typed, "Is this real?" Another followed. "Her mic isn't even on." Then, "Why can I hear myself humming?" The screens above flickered. All around the world, webcams auto-activated. People in bedrooms, cafes, classrooms, all watching, lit by their own blue light, saw themselves on screen. But they weren't still. They were humming. 4 notes. No one knew why. In Paris, a girl clutched her headphones and dropped to her knees. In Jakarta, a classroom of teenagers all leaned in at the same time. In Atlanta, someone tried to unplug their laptop But the humming came through the charger. A screen showed Beyonce standing alone on stage. Sent a ring. Red oil glowed beneath her like a stove eye set to boil. Her face was blank, not proud, not in control, infused. Her earpiece buzzed once, then again. She touched it, said something, but the mic didn't pick it up. Behind her, the stage screens blinked. Static turned into shapes. Shapes turned into sigils. And one looked like a waveform. Then came the overlay. From underground. From my mic. From the recorder I'd clipped to the vent shaft. My camera feed, blurry, tilted, upside down, started bleeding through the live stream. They could see me now. Not clear, not sharp, but enough. The chat exploded. Wait, is that Blue? Why is she under the stage? This isn't a music video, is it? And then, all the messages changed. Every single one. Thanked. Thanked. Line after line. As if someone or something was typing for them. As if their voices had been replaced. I closed my eyes, tuned my throat, and hummed the counter frequency. Flat, bent, wrong. The kind of note that makes a guitar buzz or a speaker hiccup, but perfect in the way that broke the loop. The stream glitched. Webcams shut off. The microphones popped. And real chat flooded back in. What was that? My ears are bleeding. I was humming, and I don't even know why. On stage, Beyonce twitched. Her shoulders squared, her mouth moved, but the mic on her face refused to pick it up. The system had switched. It no longer heard her. Only me. I didn't stop. I raised my voice, looked into the grate and whispered up. You stole my first breath. Bond, pause. Here's my last note. The stage groaned. Camera spun wildly. The red oil beneath her began to ripple, sucked through the slats of the platform. And through the cracks in the floor, the choir was revealed, one child at a time. Silent, staring, the entire world saw them. No costumes, no choreography, just truth. Jay-Z burst onto the stage from the wings, yelling something no one could hear. His hands scrambled over the switchboard, buttons sparked, screens shorted, a small fire caught at the base of the console and burned blue. He grabbed for the kill switch. The entire board melted under his palm. He stepped back. Beyonce screamed. But no sound came out. Her mouth opened. Her throat moved. But the system didn't register her pitch anymore. It registered mine. I hummed one more time, one long, flat tone. But up top the stage lights burst. Then, darkness. All around the world. Phones died. Monitors blacked out. TVs snapped silent. Anywhere the stream had played, even for a second, the power went. And in that global blackout, the children began to climb. Chapter 8. The Voice That Isn't Hers. The world didn't stop the next day, but it stuttered. News anchors fumbled through shaky footage, trying to make sense of the images their screens wouldn't stop looping. Children climbing out of a hole in the center of a concert stage, a sea of blinking stage lights above them, the sound system spitting static. Beyonce frozen in the spotlight. Her mouth open, her mic dead. No one could explain it. Some called it a data breach, a mass hacking incident. Others said it was performance art gone wrong, an experimental tribute to underground music collectives. One commentator claimed it was AI, deepfakes, edited chaos. But no one could answer the same three questions. Who were the kids? Where did they come from? And why did millions of people hum the same four notes without realizing? Beyonce said nothing. No press conference. No apology, no explanation. Her Instagram and Twitter, dead silent for almost 72 hours, finally posted one thing, a single image of a silver sticker etched with a waveform, 4 notes, no caption, no comment. Then the accounts went dark again. But Blue Ivy Carter didn't go dark. At exactly 7:13 p.m. Central Time, 3 days after the event, a new upload appeared on an anonymous blockchain ledger. The link spread fast, faster than any news broadcast. Inside were 4 files. 1. A digitized version of the surrogate tape, labeled birth_capture_original_. 2. Scanned copies of 2 birth certificates, one public, one sealed, both stamped with different dates, different hospitals. 3. The choir binder. Thanked. Active voices, with 12 names, full bios, and rehearsal logs. A 13th line. Blue Ivy Carter, status, pending. 4. An audio file titled, My Last Humwhack, exactly 19 seconds long, a single flat version of the original motif, sustained until it flickers out into silence. The files were tagged automatically by the hosting system, not by Blue, not by Serena, not by any human hand. The label applied to all 4. Not thanked. Blue stared at that tag for hours. It was the first time she'd ever seen those words together. Not just unlabeled, not unknown, and claimed. The internet didn't understand right away, but it felt it. Every speaker that tried to play Beyonce's music after that point stuttered, not from region locks or takedown requests, from something else. Tracks wouldn't load, albums glitched, playlists defaulted. Smart devices with voice assistants began redirecting Beyonce queries to the 19-second clip. Some said it sounded like static, others said it made their dogs bark. A few claimed it cured migraines. One Reddit post said it made their house stop shaking. In one corner of the world, a 3rd-grade music class tried to sing the original motif for a school recital. The teacher passed out mid-rehearsal. When she came to, she couldn't speak above a whisper. In another city, a DJ claimed his mixer would only recognize Blue's flattened version. Every time he tried to play Beyonce, the waveform bent. People didn't call it a curse. They called it a switch, a change in signal. But for Blue Ivy, it wasn't over. She'd been staying off-grid, hidden with Serena and the others in a safe house outside New Mexico. The house used no Wi-Fi, no Alexa, no auto-updating smart tech, just landlines, power cables, and silence. But even in silence, Blue heard it. When she breathed, the room vibrated faintly, a low, barely there frequency that danced between her ribs and echoed off the tile. She'd told Serena once. Serena just smiled and said, "It takes time for an echo to die." But it wasn't just the echo that haunted Blue. It was the quiet, the kind of quiet that listens. She had dreams now. Every morning at dawn. Waited. Same one. She's standing in front of a mirror, scissors in one hand, her hair hanging heavy over her shoulders. She cuts a lock, just one, and watches it fall. But in the reflection, she doesn't move. Her hands stay still, yet the hair still drops. And in the reflection, her mouth hums. Burnout, the original version. Blue stands silent. She always wakes up before the last note finishes. Always sweating. Was always alone. Until the alert came. She didn't know where it came from. No app, no sender. Just a plain push notification. Blue 4 canceled. Below it, one line. Thank you for your voice. No logo, no signature. No proof it came from Parkwood. But she knew. She reached for the box on the windowsill, the one Marisol had mailed her 2 weeks before everything broke open. She hadn't opened it yet. Something about the weight of it had scared her. She opened it now. Inside was a reel-to-reel tape recorder. Analog, heavy, handwritten note tucked inside. Last one, keep it spinning. She plugged it in, fed the tape, turned it on. The reel spun. Nothing played. No voice. No hum. Just silence. But the silence wasn't empty. It pulsed. Soft. Steady. Like the heartbeat of a speaker before it knows it's about to sing. She sat there and listened. The tape spun and spun until the counter hit one timestamp. 323. Fade to black.